So, welcome to Frogtail Family Farm. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, punch that like, and please share out our videos to help us build our YouTube channel. So, it's been about a week since we did our last video, and it's about 7:30 in the evening. This is the time that I like to get out to do some planting because it's cooler. It was pretty hot and humid today. We had horrible storms last night, and everything is just wet on the farm. And I have waited for the cool weather to come back just a little bit so I can get outside and not be dripping in sweat. So what I'm planting right now are some branching sunflowers. So if you're not, you're probably only familiar with the great big giant sunflowers that you've seen pictures of, or you might have grown some in your yard or on the edge of your yard or in your flower garden, because the bees just love them and they're so pretty. But no, what these are branching sunflowers, because the ones that you're used to seeing, they only grow one flower per stem. What these do is these become about as tall as a mammoth sunflower, maybe not quite 12 feet tall. They get about 7 feet tall, 8 feet tall. And just like the name implies, they branch. So they can get, 10 to 15 blooms per plant. And they're good for if you want to grow sunflowers for bouquets, because the heads don't get quite so big and they come in a wider variety of colors. So these that I'm planting today, because I'm planting these in little pots so that they will, once they get up a little bit, maybe about 3 inches tall, I'll then put them in the ground. It'll give them a better chance of survival, and I'll know what my germination rate is, because if you've ever just plant direct sown seeds in the ground, you may or may not get plants. But if you put them in little pots first, you got a plant, and you can keep it healthy and grow its root system until it goes into the ground. So these that I'm planting today are a mixed variety. These are actually seeds that I saved from branching sunflowers that I grew last year. And if you've ever grown flower seeds, that's the best way. Grown flowers, so you don't have to buy seeds. Wait and let a couple of flower heads die down and get all shrivelly and brown. They need to get to that stage so that the seeds inside can mature. And then, once that flower head is dead, pick that off, put it in a paper bag. You don't want to put it in a Ziploc bag because it's still got a little bit of moisture in it, and that moisture can cause your seeds to mold. And if they mold, they're no use to you. So keep them in a paper sack, or you can put them in a Ziploc or something. Just make sure they stay open in a cool, dry area where they can continue to dry out. But paper sack's pretty good. And make sure, if you do put it in a paper sack, write on the paper sack what you put in there, because next spring when you get ready to plant them out, you may forget what you put in there. So and also write the year on there, because if that bag gets lost and you don't know when you might have saved those seeds, sunflower seeds in particular, they're viable for 3 to 5 years. So if you put the year on it, I would say within that first 3 years, you're good on planting them. But just make sure you mark everything. So these are good to go. I'm going to water them down a little bit, and then we're going to go do something else. Okay. It's my favorite time of day, as I mentioned, sunset. And so if you can hear the birds around, there's a lot of mourning doves. Crickets and frogs haven't started yet. But we're going to walk and give you a little update on how the flowers out front are going. So you're going to see behind me coming up here, this is what in our earlier videos I called my strawberry field. And Scott sprayed it with glyphosate a couple weeks ago, and we're getting ready to till it under. We're debating on if we should just burn it with some blowtorches to kill any remaining weed seeds, because this is where I want to put my dahlia tubers, my tube roses, and I'm also looking at starting peony beds. And you know, a lot of if you go looking for peonies, it says that they like shade. They'll grow in shade, but you're not going to get a whole lot of blooms. They actually prefer full sunlight, 6 to 8 hours a day. But that's if you're growing them for lots of blooms. And one of the things that I've learned recently about peonies is while they start blooming around early to mid-May, you can actually dry store peony blooms just as they're about to start budding out. And you cut them off, wrap them in paper towels, and put them in the refrigerator. You know, wrap them completely in paper towels, put them in the refrigerator, and they will store for up to 3 months. So if you're a mom that's looking to grow some flowers for your daughter's wedding, or some event like that, and you want something that's going to be real impactful, peonies is something that you might want to look at. So this is my wildflower sunflower field. It's looking a little sparse right now because things are just barely starting to come up, and we've had some grass come back in this field. But we have had a ton of rain here lately, so we'll just do a quick look down this row. So if you can see here behind me, yeah, there's my first row of sunflowers. There's the first ones that I planted. Oh, it's been about 2 weeks. So they have really shot up. They're about 3 inches tall now. But you've taken this walk with me before, maybe, and we're going to go see what the sunflowers out front look like. The volunteers that have come up in the sunflower field that we planted last year. Now, this variety that we planted last year was just some Paradovic variety. Scott went and picked up a 50-pound bag of seed at the co-op. It was only like 53 bucks. Not a whole lot of an investment. But we got a lot of bang for that $53, let me tell you. And it keeps on paying. So I'm coming up on it. Whew, it's a ways out. Our driveway's 3/10 of a mile. So, and I didn't even come all the way from the house. So, if you saw my last video of the sunflowers, which I think was a week and a half ago, because Scott did the video for last week, but here we go. Wow, look at that. A couple weeks ago, these were just, you know, at the highest, you know, maybe 1.5 feet tall. And on this end, let's see if I can get this. This is at my hip. They're at my hip now. I'm 5'10". So we thought, you know, as they were coming up, I thought, oh, it's going to be a sparse, you know, few volunteers. This patch looks almost as full now as it did when we like mass planted. Well, we didn't plant the whole 50-pound bag of seeds. We, I think Scott planted like 2/3 of it. But just wow. I'm going to walk around it a little bit and tell you about some more stuff. So right here, I had Scott plow up 2 rows of the sunflowers because this is where I'm planting some of my pollenless sunflowers. We're succession planting. So as these start to fade, these are mostly for pictures. If anybody wants to come out and take pictures, or if you want to cut some sunflowers to take home, we will let you cut some, I think at $2 a stem, but they're going to drop a lot of pollen. Just be aware of that. But this variety, like if you want it for a bouquet on a nice tablecloth, or, for a bouquet for an event, it won't drop pollen on your pretty dress. So, and then this is actually going to be an aisle. We're going to mulch this, but we have a bunch of volunteers coming up in it too, so we just let them go. So over here, let me come around. Oh, so this is our gas cannon. It is not going to go off. We didn't turn it on today because it just rained so much last night, and we had to leave really, really early this morning because our daughter Shelby got inducted into the Junior Honor Roll Society, and we're so proud of her. And but here is, so this is all commercial 3.2 ounce weed fabric. Now, if I get here closer, let me get up amongst it. Let's see if you can see. Yes, you can see the lines. So it's a heavy duty weed fabric. These lines are marked every 1 foot, 12 inches. So we've got 2 feet between each row. And let's see, right here in front of me, this is my snapdragons. They've been in the ground for 3 weeks. I actually planted them in soil blocks, seeds with a toothpick, one by one. Back in February, and they didn't get any bigger than that, although some of them did not, and I pinched them, and then I re-rooted those, which you can do, and I kind of doubled my plants without having to buy more seeds. But they're just now starting to, I think the roots are taken, and they're just really starting to grow. So I'm not sure when we're going to have snapdragons, but snapdragons will bloom through into the summer. So on this row are my Lisianthus, and let's see what else. Oh yeah, down there is my straw flowers. I will see if I can find a photo to put up of what these flowers look like in the video as I'm describing them. But these are the most recent ones I put in the ground right here. These are actually blooming. This is Globe Amaranth. So see if I can get, yeah. So this is a mixed variety. They're going to bloom pinks, whites, purples, and lavenders, and florists call them dot flowers. So the flowers only get about that big around at biggest, but they dry beautifully. They dry just the same way they look when they're fresh. So we're hoping, and they, excuse me, they produce massively. So hopefully we'll have a lot of those to put in bouquets. And if anybody wants to just buy a little bouquet of them or dried flowers, we're going to set up a drying shed to dry a lot of flowers this year. So let's see what we got behind me. There's the sunset. And oh, before we go, I just want to show you this. So all of this, this is just 3 rows, not even 3 rows. I have to finish out this row of planting. And then I've got all of this behind me here, which is going to be another 6 or 7 rows. But those are going to be more zinnias and celosia and some dahlias that I'm growing from seed. And oh, cosmos. I've just put some cosmo cupcake cosmos into soil. So thanks for joining me and following our adventures here on Frogtoe Family Farm. So please remember to smash that like button, press that subscribe so that you can get that reminder to watch our videos every week. And thank you for joining me.